The first time Emeka met Loveth, it was under a Lagos rainstorm. She stood by the bus stop in Surulere, holding her handbag over her head, trying to save her braids. Emeka, bold and smiling, pulled over in his Toyota Camry. "You go catch fever, enter jaw," he said, grinning. Loveth hesitated, then slid into the car. The warmth of the ride and his soft-spoken charm melted her defenses. They talked about work, Lagos traffic, and dreams of leaving Nigeria someday. By the time he dropped her off, she was laughing freely. But later that night, while scrolling through her sister Chika's Instagram, Loveth paused at a familiar smile. There he was, Emeka, posing beside Chika at a corporate event, his arm resting lightly around her waist. She brushed it off as coincidence. After all, Lagos was small, and people crossed paths all the time. But sometimes, fate isn't coincidence, it's a warning in disguise. By the following week, Emeka had woven himself into Loveth's life like silk. He sent morning texts, bought her lunch, and promised her a future that sounded too good to be real. Meanwhile, Chika couldn't stop talking about her new guy, a smart, hard-working man who made her believe in love again. That Sunday, both sisters visited their mother's place in Festac. Between bites of jollof rice, Loveth mentioned, "There's this guy I've been seeing." Chika's eyes lit up. "Me too. His name is Emeka." The room went silent. Their mother looked from one daughter to the other, her spoon midair. "Emeka who?" she asked slowly. The laughter died. Loveth's heart pounded, and Chika's smile faltered. The same name. The same man. That night, Loveth waited outside Emeka's apartment. When his headlights cut through the darkness, she stepped out of the shadows. "Loveth," he gasped. "I met your other girlfriend today." "My sister." Emeka stammered, reaching for words. "It's not what you think." She slapped him before he could finish. "You played both of us." Emeka tried to explain, spinning half-truths about how it started innocently, how he didn't know they were related. But the guilt in his eyes betrayed him. Chika called during the argument, and Loveth snatched the phone. "He's with me right now," she said coldly. Then she hung up. Moments later, Chika arrived in a taxi. The sisters stood side by side in the street, silent. Emeka, sweating, tried to speak, but Chika raised her hand. "You think love is a game?" she asked. "You'll soon learn Lagos doesn't forgive easily." News travels fast in Lagos, especially when hearts are broken. Within days, Chika deleted her social media, Loveth quit replying to Emeka's calls, and the sisters barely spoke to each other. Their mother wept quietly at night. "A man has come between my children," she said. Emeka tried to apologize, sending gifts, begging for forgiveness. Loveth ignored him, but Chika wasn't done. She visited him one evening, not to reconcile, but to make him feel her anger. "You made me look like a fool," she said. "I'll make sure everyone knows who you really are." Soon, screenshots of his messages flooded WhatsApp groups. His colleagues whispered at work. His reputation, once spotless, was now stained beyond repair. Weeks passed. Emeka tried to rebuild his life, but Lagos had already chosen its villain. Clients withdrew, friends ghosted him, and even his landlord started hinting he should move out. One night, he sat in a bar at Ikeja, drinking cheap gin. His friend Colonel leaned over and said, "Guy, 2 sisters. You want kill yourself?" Emeka sighed. "I love them both, differently." Colonel laughed bitterly. "That's not love, that's greed. You played yourself." When Emeka got home, he found an envelope under his door, a photograph of him, Loveth, and Chika, torn in half. Written across it were the words, "You broke blood. Blood will remember." Loveth couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Emeka's smile, that same smile he probably gave Chika. Her pride burned more than her heartbreak. She wanted to hate her sister, but how could she? They both had been fooled by the same man. One evening, she showed up at Chika's flat. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Loveth whispered, "We let him win by fighting each other." Tears filled Chika's eyes. "He doesn't deserve our pain," she said. They embraced, two wounded hearts trying to heal. But as they hugged, Loveth made a silent vow: Emeka would never do this to anyone again. Loveth created a new Instagram page under a fake name, @Mistiga. The profile picture was borrowed, the posts carefully curated. Within a week, she sent Emeka a message. "Hey, I heard you fix import deals." Flattered and desperate for money, Emeka replied instantly. They chatted daily, business turning into flirtation. She studied his patterns, learned his habits, and drew him deeper into her web. When she finally offered to invest in one of his fake ventures, Emeka was hooked. He set up a meeting in a Victoria Island cafe. What he didn't know was that Chika was watching from across the street with her phone camera rolling. When Emeka arrived at the cafe, dressed sharp and smiling, he didn't notice the hidden camera. Loveth, disguised as Miss Tiger, wore a wig and sunglasses. "You look familiar," he said, squinting. She smiled sweetly. "I get that a lot." They talked business for 30 minutes before Loveth slid an envelope across the table. "Here's your advance," she said. Inside were photos of him with both sisters, and a note that read, "This is for every woman you deceived." Emeka's face went pale. Cameras flashed. Chika emerged from behind a pillar. "Smile for the world, Emeka," she said. "Your love story just went viral." By morning, the video had spread like wildfire. Bloggers labeled it, "The man who loved two sisters." His business partners cut ties, and his company's social media pages were flooded with insults. Emeka's phone rang non-stop, but there was no escape. The same charm that once lifted him now dragged him into shame. He tried to call Loveth and Chika, but both numbers were blocked. In desperation, he drove to their mother's house. The old woman opened the door slowly. "You ruined my daughters," she said quietly. "May your lies find no rest." Then she closed the door. Months later, Loveth and Chika sat together in a small restaurant. The wounds had begun to heal, those scars remained. "You think he learned his lesson?" Chika asked. Loveth smiled faintly. "Some lessons don't end. They haunt you." Across the city, Emeka sat in a crowded church, head bowed. The once proud man now lived quietly, doing odd jobs to survive. Every Sunday, he prayed for forgiveness, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw their faces. And in Lagos, people still whispered about the man who loved two sisters. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Priceless Folktales for more gripping African tales of love, betrayal, and redemption. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Your support keeps these timeless stories alive.